What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I'm here today to talk to you about the 4-2 loss to the Toronto Scepters. First off, penalties were an issue again. Penalties have been an issue. They continue to be an issue, and if we don't fix it, they're going to continue to be an issue. We actually did a little bit better in terms of power plays, where penalties were 4-2, which still not good, but we got 2 power plays. But I do want to address the refs swallowed their whistles in the third period, which is when Toronto would have gotten their most penalties. There were quite a few times where there were missed calls. I think this is a game where we should have had at least the same amount of penalties, or at least it shouldn't have been what it was. And I will admit, we got away with a lot in the third period too. But going into the third period, penalties were 4-1 in favor of Toronto. And all of a sudden, the refs swallow their whistles. Now, I get it. There had already been a lot of penalties, but understand the context here, right? We're a team that takes a lot of penalties. You've called 4 on us already. So you've made it no secret that you're calling things. If you see it, you call it. And then in the third period, you swallow your whistles and you just let them play on. It felt really inconsistent. It felt like, in the second period, sure, we'll call all the penalties we can. And in the third period, let them play. Again, at times it benefited us. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, the refs jobbed us. So the refs are the reasons why we lost. Because they aren't. There's many reasons why we lost this. That has nothing to do with the refs. But it sure didn't help. There's one play in particular. It was a hit right on the Scepters had taken a penalty. I believe it was I think it was just a delay of game. It was either delay of game or too many players. A bench penalty, right? Like one of those where they call it always, and it's just it wasn't like anything dangerous. And then we're like, finally, it was a late power play, but an opportunity to tie the game. And there was a hit so blatantly on the numbers. And I was thinking, if we did that, that's 5 in a game. On every time, it's 5 in a game. If it was a charge player doing that to a Scepter player, the play would have been blown dead immediately, and we would have gotten the game. Nothing. No call. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say the refs cost us the game. Quite frankly, what cost us the game was when Toronto scored their third goal, because we have not scored 4 all season. We haven't. What cost us the game, what's cost us a lot of games, has been our lack of offense. And a big part of why we don't have any offense is that we're spending so much time on the penalty kill. Let's break down the game. Early chance for Toronto. Matchmeyer's lying down and we knock it away. Immediate penalty. We get a good penalty kill. It's good. And then immediately we're on the power play. And McMahon scores 1-0 Ottawa. And let me just say, the McMahon, Serdachny, and Bach line have been amazing. I think they've been our best line. Since we've got Victoria Bach, best line. Bach got an assist here. That line has given me life. Okay? They've given me life. Especially, like I said, we are anemic on offense. We don't really score goals. So that line is like our saving grace on offense. Would I make them our number 1? I don't know, but I'd be giving them a bit more minutes. Because they're, I think, the only line that's consistently clicking and getting points night in and night out. And it's not to say that any of our other lines are bad, per se. It's just those players have a chemistry that I've liked, especially Darkangelo and Bach. But McMahon is obviously getting on the score sheet. And I like what I see from them. Now, missed call against Toronto. I believe it was a trip. But then we get a penalty. Toronto goes back to the power play. So first period, penalties are already 2-1. Bad bounce right as the penalty kill comes to an end and Toronto ties the game. On the ensuing play, we have an open net. Fan on the shot. See what I mean? Where it's not just, I'm not going to say the refs robbed the game on this one. You got to score that goal. Because we had opportunities that we didn't capitalize on. And that is a fairly consistent theme. Again, we haven't scored 4 goals all season. This is game 10. This is the third of the way through. Now I get, sometimes you got to wait for the offense to come. But now we got another penalty. We're going to play the puck. We got another. There were a few that were suspicious. So I want to say this. I do think that, the reffing was not good. I'm not going to say the refs cost us the game. Our penalty kill was good today. We went 4 for 4 on the PK. Didn't allow a single goal on the penalty kill. Similar to the Boston game, though, when you're spending 8 minutes in the box, you're spending 8 minutes not on offense. You're spending 8 minutes where if you are on offense, there would have been an extra player. So you could have scored a goal maybe if you had another player available to pass to or to get the rebound or to take a shot that you did not otherwise have. So I still do think that, even if you have a great penalty kill, when you're spending 8 minutes in the penalty box, you are robbing yourself of 8 minutes to score. 8 minutes where you don't have an extra player. That could make a difference. So, I don't think the reffing was good. At the same time, I really want to emphasize this, we did this to ourselves. And another thing is, we're the auto-charged, most penalized team in the league. And we do not get calls in our favor. We don't get power plays. No team has more penalties than us. No team has less power plays than us. That's something you've got to be aware of. When you do something that could be called a penalty that other teams would get away with, you've got to know that we're going to get called. And if you're like, oh, well, other teams get away with it, then argue it. Then at least, and I don't mean say, oh, no, I didn't do that, but argue it after the fact. We should have our coach being like, hey, I want an explanation. Toronto did the same thing, and you didn't call it. Where was the consistency? Like I said, we get another kill. Shots were out of hand, and that's the other reason why I'm not going to say they're disgusted. Toronto outplayed us. Last time Toronto outplayed us, you know what? We stole a win. We stole 3 points. You can't keep playing with fire. You're going to get burned. So the same thing happens again, where Toronto is out shooting us, outplaying us, out everything us, and this time they also outscored us. Again, it's you're making those same things that can burn you. Eventually, you're going to get burned. I at the end of the first, I had mixed feelings that it was tied. Because we were being outshot by a significant margin, but we were still in the game. And I was thinking, maybe we wouldn't be outshot by so much if we weren't on the penalty kill for 6 of those 20 minutes. We get a wild start to the second period. Both teams getting high danger chances. And we got a penalty. Again, another kill. But now we spent 8 minutes in the box. Now, this is what I mean. There was a call that should have been interference that wasn't called, and it would have been against Toronto. They did miss calls against Toronto. They missed quite a few calls against Toronto. They missed a few against us. But, I really think that they at least could have had penalties before for this game without it being absurd. There were 2 trips that they missed. One of them, I was at the game with a friend of mine, and the Toronto player had fallen. They were lying on the ice, fully lying, and then our player tripped on them. And I was like, that's tripping. And he was like, well, they didn't intend to trip them. Well, geez, if we didn't call penalties because there was no intention, then we'd never be in the box now, would we? That's not how it works. It doesn't work by, did you intend to trip the player? It works by, did you trip the player? And there was, you were laying on the ice. You were interfering with our play. And they fell like not even a second before our player was there. And okay, fine. Like, but that's just one example. There's another example where it was their stick. They didn't intend to put their stick in between our players' skates. I don't believe there was any intention there. Our player still tripped on their stick. But when you get outshot by how much we did, when we get outplayed, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, if we got an extra power play. We've got one of the worst power plays in the league. Again, we did okay. We did okay today. But, like, we got a power play goal this game. I believe it's our third this season. So I'm not going to sit here and say more power plays would have won us the game. I will say maybe less penalty kills could have helped us. But there was a missed call. And on that play, not too much long later, Toronto 2-1. We get the weirdest goal, by the way, to tie it up. 2-2 going into the third. Where it's in the corner, McMahon shoots it out. It goes off of, I believe, a Toronto player's leg. It's like the weirdest bounce you've ever seen. And it's an Ottawa Charge goal, 2-2. And I'm thinking, okay, we stole one from them last time. Maybe we can do it again. It's a weird goal, but hey, we take those. Now we just got to stay out of the box and get a goal. Maschmeyer kept us in. It's been a winnable game. And one thing I want to say is I do not want to hear a peep about goaltending. We've had some of the best goaltending in the league. If we had just slightly more goals, we would be one of the best teams in the league. We would at least be like solidly in a playoff spot. Not, teams breathing down our neck where it's like, oh, any game now we're going to fall into 5th place, like was the case all last season, until we did fall into 5th place where we ultimately stayed. Again, the third period is where there was a lot more missed calls. There was a missed trip. It's back and forth. No one's able to get a good look. And the other reason why I'm not blaming the refs is, you know what the game-winning goal was? A bad giveaway in our own end. It is a record, a broken record. Same thing from last year. Do you know how many games we lost because in a close, tight, 1-goal game, a bad giveaway in our own end where we should have had the puck, and I don't know what happened, but we didn't get the puck, and the puck ends up in the back of our net, because that's what happened in this play. And if you're an Ottawa Charge fan that followed every game last season, you've seen it before. You've seen it before. And that goes on to be the game winner. Toronto, like I said, they have that late penalty to give us a chance. We do nothing with the power. And again, we didn't do anything with the power play. We wasted a power play. We nearly gave up a goal on miscommunication. And then with the goalie pulled, we do give it up. 4-2, game over. I'm not happy with tonight's performance. It wasn't good enough. We got to stop taking penalties. We got to start scoring some goals. We're the only team in the league to have gone this long without a single 4-goal game. We have not scored 4 all season. We are a third of the way through. A third! I'm not asking to score 4 or 5 every single night. I'm asking for one singular 4-goal game. 4-goal game where you win, preferably. We've had, I believe, 1 game where we weren't in the box. That's what I'd like to see. A game where we have 2 or less penalties and 4 goals and a win. Because right now, I don't know if that's going to happen this season. We're third of the way through, and we have most games we click maybe one of those boxes. Maybe we get a win. Maybe we don't take 4 penalties. Gotta win these games. Okay, not this game. This game was actually pretty unwinnable. But we got to put ourselves in a position to win these games. Maschmeyer did. Maschmeyer played lights out, played amazing, did everything she could to keep this game within reach, and we just didn't do anything. No, we did do something. We went to the penalty box. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, how did we lose? You've heard it before. Next game's in Quebec City. That's going to be a big one, part of the TakeOver Tour. That's going to be really fun and really exciting. We play Montreal, who is a very, very good team. This is going to be a challenge. We've got Montreal, then Minnesota. Big challenge. Big 6 points coming up. And I want to see better. I know I can. I know we can. And as always, go Ottawa, go.